All right. Good morning, everybody. What is up? Matt Moda here with another live stream of Fast Break Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Everybody knows we're live at this time every Wednesday and Friday, so I don't need to go into that a lot. 10-game slate today, so we'll have exactly 10 picks. The mediocrity continued on our last stream, unfortunately. We went exactly 500 on our 10 picks. We got 5 right and we got 5 wrong. And this kind of goes to my point about why I try to target more plus money bangers. We ended the day slightly down 0.3 units because I had more minus money plays than I normally do. So that brings our total profit on the year. We're still up 5.75 units, ROI of 2.53%. That doesn't look incredible, but then when you realize we're like over 100 or 230 picks deep, an ROI of just below 3% looks a little bit better. Hopefully we can have a massive bounce back day today. We need it. We've been down in 3 of 4 streams. Prior to that, we were up in 6 of 7. So that's just kind of the cyclical nature of how things go. We're going to conquer the Friday demons today. I'm very confident. Make sure while you're here to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel. Share this link with your friends. And then get your questions and comments and everything in the chat. When you see me look over, that's what I'm doing. I'm checking the chat. I see Tyshawn Bland in here. Yes, it's 11 a.m. You know what time it is. And Mr. Sparkle. Let's go. Thank you for being here. You can find me anywhere at social media at Jedi Modai. And let's get into it. 10 picks deep. Let's get started. So the first play that we're going to go ahead and lock in here, this is in the Pacers versus Hawks game. We're taking Trae Young over 30.5 points plus 108 odds at DraftKings. So this play with Trae, it's a somewhat fade of recent results. Trae hasn't been scoring a ton recently, and these two teams literally just played a week ago, exactly 7 days ago, and Trae went aggressively under. He only scored 13 points in that game. Granted, that game was a complete blowout basically from the jump. I think at halftime, the Hawks were getting smoked, and then it just never got better over the course of the game. In that game, Trae only ended up playing 28 minutes. That's a full 10 minutes below his season average. He averages 38 minutes per game. So definitely an outlier. And also the first time these two teams played, Trae scored 38 points. So it's not as though it's a tough matchup for him. Granted, that game also was an outlier scoring. If you remember, that was the game in which I think both teams scored in the 150s and it didn't even go to overtime. So 2 outlier performances. Hopefully this one is a little bit more in the middle as long as he gets us to 31 or more points. I know generally the way that you want to target the Pacers defense is guys that attack the paint and more so attack the rim. Now, Trae does, I wouldn't call it attack the paint, but he does easily get into the paint. He just scores more of a floater game, pull up, stuff like that. Or he draws the center and has the lob to the other side to his center, like Clint Capella. So this could end up being a assist spot for Trae. He went under that in their last game as well. But after how poorly he scored in the last game, I do like Trae in his points tonight. If you want to take his over 11.5 assists, that's also plus money on DraftKings. I wouldn't hate that either. We're just going to track whether he hits the points. And I'm very confident that he can do that. Prior to this stretch, he had a long stretch where he was consistently going over his point total. So I'm not scared off by the recent downswing from Trae. That's just kind of the cyclical nature of the NBA. That is our first pick. Next up in the Rockets versus Pistons game, we're taking Jabari Smith Jr. 3+ made 3-pointers. This is at plus 210 odds at DraftKings. This is going to be the juiciest play of the day by far. It's the only one that we're playing for above plus 200 odds. Technically, Jabari Smith's main line over under for his 3-point props is 1.5, but the odds weren't super favorable for the over, so I decided to pump it up just one more 3-pointer to get very juicy odds at the plus 210 number. If you wanted it to be safer, you could do so and just take him over 1.5 and put a full unit on that. And then maybe if you wanted to put a half unit on this one, I wouldn't blame you. Again, we track these all as 1 unit plays, but unit size responsibly in whatever you're comfortable with. Anyways, there's a couple reasons why I like this play tonight. Number 1, Smith Jr. has been very good as a shooter recently. And number 2, it's a very, very good matchup against the Pistons. It's also a good matchup for his point total. So again, if you like another honorable mention, if you like just his point total over, I like that one as well. Again, we're just going to track the 3-pointers, but that one's a good play as well. Earlier in the year, first 2 months, couple months of the season, the Pistons were the matchup that you wanted to target specifically for point guard props. But that's actually not been the case recently. They've been better. And when I say better, like they were the worst team in the NBA at guarding point guards. Now they're like the third worst. So better is all relative. But what they have been really struggling with is giving up a ton of three-pointers to court stretching bigs / forwards, more so forwards like Jabari Smith Jr. He's a power forward. He stretches the floor. He's a very good player. 10 of the last 11 power forwards against the Pistons have gone over their three-point prop. And a lot of them have done it by multiple three-pointers, which is technically what we are backing here. Keegan Murray, similar player to Jabari Smith Jr. He hit 5 on an over-under of 2.5. Dario Saric of the Warriors hit 3 on an over-under of 1.5. That's exactly what we're hoping Jabari Smith Jr. does. Hit 3, at least 3 on an over-under of 1.5. And then Lauri Markkanen hit 4 on an over-under of 2.5. And looking at Jabari Smith Jr., so he's gone over his main line of 1.5 three-pointers in 5 of the last 10 games, so in half. But in all 5 of those games, he actually hit 3 or more. In one game, he hit 4. So he has been doing a much better job shooting recently. These two teams also just played recently, and he went 3 of 5 from beyond the arc. I think that he will be able to have another good game shooting tonight. Hopefully he can cash this banger for us. It's always nice when you can get a very juicy play to cash. So we're 2 picks deep. Before I get into the next one, I want to talk to you about a 1-year premium subscription giveaway that we are running with Betting Pros. So if you want a chance to win a premium 1-year subscription to Betting Pros, it's a place where you can bet smart and not bet hard. I haven't mentioned the app yet, but I will very, very shortly about how I use it. All you need to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel and comment. Hopefully you're already subscribed. If not, please click that subscribe button. And then, as I mentioned, just comment. Those 2 things is how you get entered. And then in terms of announcing a winner, we're going to do it right here on this channel. So make sure to turn notifications on so you're alerted when new episodes drop, and then you can come in and claim your prize. Next up, Kings versus 76ers game. We're taking De'Aaron Fox under 27.5 points plus 105 odds at DraftKings. So this is a play that I found using the Betting Pros app, the prop bet cheat sheet. It's not quite as juicy as the normal positive EV plays that I like to play. It's a 4-star play instead of a 5-star play, but I really do like this one. It is still positive expected value. So that's the most important thing. And the reason why I like it and why I'm playing it even as a 4-star play is I think that there are a lot of reasons to fade Fox tonight, especially for plus money. First of all, looking at Fox, he is in the middle of an absolutely brutal cold streak. And in this cold streak, I've made the mistake of betting on him to come out of it. I think I did on one of these streams in good matchups, and he didn't come through for us. So now in a tough matchup against a good Sixers defense, even without Embiid, I'm going to fade Fox until he gets out of this funk. He will eventually. I'm not expecting that to be tonight. For starters, Fox has gone under this number in 5 straight games, and he's done it in 9 of 15 games as well. And they're even really good matchups, like the Pistons, like the Hornets, where he went under. And looking at this 5-game stretch, he has legitimately been the coldest player in the NBA over the past 5 games. And the way that that's measured is you look at how these last 5 games have gone, and you compare that to the previous 15 games. So it's not a perfect metric by any means. It's just an easy way to highlight how cold or hot a player is. And Fox, he's scoring 12.67 fewer points in the last 5 games than he was in the previous 15 prior to that. So that's really, really bad. Now for tonight, he gets a tough matchup against the Sixers. The Sixers are giving up the fewest points per game to point guards over the past month. Overall, if you're looking at the entire season, they're listed as the second toughest matchup for point guard point props specifically. So I think that there are a ton of reasons to fade Fox tonight. That probably means he's going to go off for 45 because that's just how things work. But we're riding with the under, taking him to continue to be cold. Next up, another underplay. This is in the Warriors versus Bulls game. We're taking Steph Curry under 27.5 points. This is at even money, plus 100 odds at DraftKings. For starters, I try to mention this as often as I can. This is an amazing price that we're getting on DraftKings. It's always scary to fade Curry, just like it's a little, not as scary, but still scary to fade Fox. But legitimately every other book that prices this has the under as the favored outcome. They're pretty heavily juicing the under, and DraftKings is giving this to us at plus 100. So very good price there. And I'll guess, I haven't looked a ton at other people, but I'm guessing this is going to be a pretty popular play that a lot of people are going to be on the Steph Curry under. I try to not look at anything prior to these streams, so I'm not influenced by anybody's picks, and I don't want to be accused of stealing anybody's plays. But because this is such a smash spot for Steph's under, I'm guessing it's going to be a lot of people's tickets, just putting that out there. But looking at Steph, similar to Fox, he's been horrible recently, especially the past couple games. Steph has gone under this in 3 straight games and in 7 of 9. I know generally if you've been tuning in to these streams, I like to fade recent events, and I'm not doing that here with Fox or with Curry. But, and also similar to Fox, Curry is going to come out of this slump eventually because he's Steph Curry. But there's also enough bad juju with the Warriors. You know, reports came out this morning that they're going to trade Andrew Wiggins. There's just a lot of weird stuff going on with the team. So I like still fading Steph tonight. This is also a very tough matchup against the Bulls. Now, you wouldn't expect that because the Bulls are the Bulls. But for point guard props specifically, the Bulls are the toughest matchup in the NBA, again, for point guard props, point props, which makes sense because they've given up the fewest points per game to point guards in the NBA. I like to call this the Alex Caruso effect, who is an amazing on-ball guard defender, one of the best in the NBA. Looking at the over-under of 27.5, only 2 of the last 16 point guards have gone over this number, as my headphone falls out, against the Bulls. Now, that 28 points is a high number. So guys that have an over-under in the teens, of course, they're not going to get to 28 most nights. But that still does include some good players. Like Tyrese Maxey went under twice in this span. Tyrese Halliburton went under in this span. Trae Young went under in this span. So more often than not, point guards do not have a lot of points against the Bulls. And I am backing that to continue tonight. Apparently, this got moved down to minus 115 on DraftKings. I apologize for that. I locked it in at plus 100. Unfortunately, I can't help if the odds change, but I would check the Betting Pros, the props odds section and see if you might be able to get better odds elsewhere. You'll just have to look and see, check Betting Pros for that. Next up, our 5th play of the slate. There you go. It's in the chat now. Thank you for that. In the Clippers versus Grizzlies game, I'm taking Kawhi Leonard, 25 plus points, another plus 100 play at DraftKings. So this is technically a positive expected value play that I found on Betting Pros, but the over-under was for 23.5. I just decided to pump it up by 1 point. We're getting way better odds at plus 100 versus over 23.5, I think was minus 120 or so. So I thought that it was a much better play to get 1 extra point for 20 cents better odds. And I really do like this matchup for Kawhi against the Grizzlies. And Kawhi, it's been an interesting season. Obviously, the Clippers are on fire. Part of that Kawhi has been on fire for also himself, but recently he's in the middle of a little bit of a cold streak, so we are fading recent events here. Now, he went over in literally his most recent game. His last game against the Raptors, he scored 29 points, going over this number and going over his mainline point prop. Prior to that, Kawhi had gone under in 3 straight games, actually scoring fewer than 20 points in all 3 of those games. And then he had also gone under in 4 of 5. Granted, prior to that, he had been on fire going over in 7 straight games. So that just shows you the cyclical nature of the NBA. And for a guy like Kawhi, who doesn't always take the regular season super seriously, but he went over last game. I'm guessing the cyclical nature of the NBA starts to swing back in a positive way for Kawhi, and he starts getting on another hot streak, hopefully starting tonight, hitting this over for us. And it's a pretty good matchup, as I mentioned, against the Grizzlies. The way that Kawhi scores bodes well against the type of defense that the Grizzlies play. Granted, the last time these 2 teams played, he did go under. He only scored 14 points, but that doesn't scare me off of him tonight. I still think he's going to have a good game. And then as an honorable mention, I also like James Harden, 10 plus assists. Last I checked, this was 4 plus money. I had hit that in 2 straight streams, or maybe even 3 straight, I think, at this point. And I like the Kawhi play better, so I didn't make that my official play. But if you're looking for an honorable mention, there you go. 5 picks deep. I've mentioned the app a couple times now. I just want to highlight and dig a little bit deeper into that. For starters, you can find the app bettingpros.com/apps. You can also tail on my picks on the app bettingpros.com/Modi if you want to check out my profile. The way that I use the app the most, and I don't only use it for these streams. I use it for NFL stuff. I use it for non-stream days. Like I don't just use it on Wednesday and Friday, but I love the prop bet cheat sheet, which I've mentioned a couple times. The way it works is you can find Betting Pros recommended picks based on what the current lines the sports books are offering and the projections that Betting Pros have. bettingpros.com/NBA props. I believe that is the link in the that was put in the chat as well. You can filter by or sort by highest percent of positive expected value. If you just want to see what's the highest EV play of the day. I will talk about the highest EV play of the day later today. You can also sort by percent chance that the play hits. Like if you're looking for a couple parlay pieces and you don't care as much about the minus odds, you could do that. You can sort by biggest difference between Betting Pros projections and the current lines. That's a way that I look for pumped up props. So a lot of different ways you can use it. And then I mentioned the premium subscription giveaway earlier. You can also download the Betting Pros app and get access to a free trial of the premium offerings. You're not going to get it for a year, but you can at least check out a free trial. And then I also think it's really cool that it syncs directly with your sports books. So check out the app, bettingpros.com/apps. Next up, this is in the Magic versus Heat game. We're taking Paolo Banchero under 27.5 points plus 100 odds at DraftKings. It's our third straight plus 100 play. Technically still plus money. The lowest plus money could ever get, but still plus money. And another really good play from an odds perspective. Most books that have odds for this under 27.5 pretty heavily favor the under, and we're getting it at plus 100 at DraftKings. Now, I understand why this number is so high for Banchero. He's normally like a 23.5, 24.5 over-under kind of guy, but because Franz Wagner is out, he's been scoring a lot more, and his point total over-under has reflected that. Granted, it's a tiny sample size. Franz has missed 3 games this year. Banchero went over in 2 of those 3 games. But you got to look at the matchup when you're looking at, something with that small of a sample size. One of the games he went over was against the Hawks, who are a horrible defense, specifically horrible at guarding forwards. He also went over against the Nuggets, obviously a very good team. Nuggets are in a little bit of a rut, the classic post-championship season, regular season drought where they're having trouble really getting it up for every single regular season game. The last game that Banchero played, he went under against a really good defense against the Grizzlies. Now the Timberwolves, really good defense in the Timberwolves. Now the Heat aren't as good as the Timberwolves, but they're also way better than the Hawks in this current version of the Nuggets. Now, because of how things go for the Heat, basically their entire team is listed as questionable in day-to-day to play. Now, I haven't seen updated injury news. The thing I care most about is the fact that Bam is going to be playing. He's not listed on the injury report, and he is listed as healthy. I know Bam is technically the center, but matchups like this, he's probably going to take the bulk of the matchup against Banchero, and that's really not how. It's a matchup that Banchero is going to struggle against, and he has struggled against in his career. They've only played one time this year. Banchero not only went under, but he scored 10 points on 2 of 12 shooting. If you want to go back to his rookie year, he played the Heat 3 times last year. He went under in all 3 of those games, which makes it under in 4 for 4 games against the Heat. And it's because of the matchup. I think it's a very, very tough matchup. The way that he scores does not lend itself to success against the Heat. So I like for his under. I guess the odds changed on this one as well. I apologize. Check out the same link and see where you can get the best odds on this one. And all right, so next up, this is our 7th play. And this is in the Blazers versus Timberwolves game, the defense that I was just talking about, how amazing they are. With that, we're taking Anfernee Simons under 5.5 assists. This is at minus 138 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. Now, this is by far the highest juice, the least favorable odds of the day that we are playing at minus 138. It's such a good play that I'm comfortable, even with the odds, putting a full unit on it and adding it to our official plays, not feeling the need to put it into a parlay piece. Number 1, Timberwolves defense is amazing, and they're especially tough for a guy like Simons in the way in which his game works, which we'll get into that a little bit. For starters, looking at Simons a little bit, he's not known as an assist guy by any means. He's gone under in 6 of his last 7 games, and those are not recent results that I want to fade. Instead, I want to back those recent results. The Timberwolves give up the 3rd fewest assists per game in the NBA, and they give up the 2nd fewest to shooting guards specifically. That's what Simons plays. Over the past month, The Timberwolves defense has still been stingy, allowing the fourth fewest assists per game to shooting guards in that span. So they're good overall. They're good against shooting guards overall, and they're good against shooting guards recently. And as I mentioned, the type of game that Simons plays does not lend itself to having success from a playmaking department or even a scoring department for the Timberwolves. He has tunnel vision, driving to the basket. He's not always good about finding kick-out opportunities. And he's just, in general, not a guy that prioritizes playmaking. He just likes to get his. And the Timberwolves can shut down guys that don't have much advanced vision on the court. So I like taking his assist prop under, even at the price of minus 138 odds. I think it's really good. That's our seventh play. We have three more, but before we get into them, I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros Discord, bettingpros.com/chat. If you're looking to up your sports betting game, look no further than the Discord community at Betting Pros. In the Discord, Betting Pros has gathered a team of a bunch of really sharp expert handicappers. College football's over, but we're into the NFL playoffs. You can find picks for that. You can find player props, futures, live betting. You can also find all those markets for other sports, NBA, NHL, college basketball, soccer, golf, whatever you're into, you can find in the Discord. Get in on the action, connect with individuals such as yourselves in this chat who are sports betting enthusiasts. You can elevate your own strategy. Not only will you have picks to tail, but ways in which you can make your own sports betting game better. So join us in the Discord today, bettingpros.com/chat. Three more plays to go. The first one of the last three in the Hornets versus Spurs game, we're taking Devin Vassell under 21.5 points. This is at minus 105 odds at DraftKings. I hinted at this play earlier. This is an absolute banger of a play. 5 stars, 39.9% positive expected value play. At the time I locked this in, it was the highest positive expected value play of the entire day. Betting Pros projects him to score 17.9 points. That's a full 3.6 points lower than his over-under. And Betting Pros gives him a 71.7% chance of going under. It's a really, really good play for minus 105 odds. And you might think of the Hornets defense as a matchup that you want to target. And that is generally true. But as bad as they are, this is not a good matchup for Devin Vassell specifically. The Hornets are giving up the 5th fewest points per game to shooting guards over the past month. Instead, they're just getting crushed by other positions, not the shooting guard. And this is a play, which I like, that we are fading recent events. That's generally my nature. I know I've gone away from that in a couple plays, not in this one. Vassell has gone over this number in 5 of 8 games, but in 4 of those 5, he scored exactly 22. So yeah, technically still an over. Very, very much barely going over, and results that I would want to fade. On the year, he's only gone over in 12 of 31 games. So to me, going over in 5 of 8 just means that the downswing is going to come for Vassell, especially in a matchup which you would expect to be really good, is not against the Hornets. So I love that play. Next up, this is in the Raptors versus Jazz game. I'm taking Collin Sexton over 4.5 assists plus 124 odds at DraftKings. So this is mostly a play because of the matchup against the Raptors. It's a small sample size, but we're looking at since they traded OG and Anunoby, they brought in quickly and they brought in RJ Barrett. I understand why they did that trade, but their defense took a pretty massive hit because of that trade, especially in situations where they've been getting killed by guard assist props. Now, I say guard instead of shooting guard or point guard because Sexton is kind of a combo guard. He's listed as a point guard, but he's not a traditional point guard in which you would think like a floor general type of guy. Again, he's more of a combo guard. And the Raptors have been giving up a ton of assists to guys like Sexton since they made the OG and Anunoby trade. Last game, and I'm talking about James Harden, who's by far the best passer of the bunch that I'm going to mention here. But last game, Harden, who's technically listed as a shooting guard, even though we all know he's basically the point guard, he had 11 assists on an over-under of 7.5. Again, he's the best passer of the bunch. But these next couple guys are more in line with Sexton. Austin Reeves had 7 assists on an over-under of 5.5. Malik Monk, 9 assists on an over-under of 5.5. Desmond Bane, 8 assists on an over-under of 4.5. Donovan Mitchell, also an over-under of 4.5. He had 7 assists. Those last 2 guys, that's what we're hoping for tonight. On an over-under of 4.5 assists. clearing that over. And all of those have happened since the trade went down. And I know that Sexton isn't known as a huge playmaker, a huge assist guy. This is a number he's only gone over in 15 of 39 games. So you want to play him in very specific matchups. And I think that is what we're doing and what we're getting tonight. Another juicy matchup for point guard / guard assist props is the Sixers. He had 10, and that was 6 days ago. I don't think he's going to have 10 tonight, but I do think he'll be able to get us to 5, cashing another plus money banger. And last up, our 10th and final pick of the stream, hopefully our 10th winner of the stream. This is in the Pelicans versus Nuggets game. I'm taking Jamal Murray under 23.5 points. This is best offered at minus 120 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. This was another banger of a 5-star play that I found on Betting Pros. They project Jamal Murray to have 20 points, a full 3.5 points below what we are taking him to go under. And in situations like that, technically, I know I like to pump up props when I like players to go over whatever their over-under is. You could also, I'm looking for a better term for this, but you could also deflate these props down as well. DraftKings does offer alternate point total props. So if you wanted to get better odds than the minus 120, you could deflate his point total down a little bit. I'm sticking with the official play that I gave out, but just letting you know that is an option. This was a 30.6% positive expected value play. Betting Pros gives him a 71.2% chance he goes under this number. Really, really good play from an EV perspective, and I totally understand why. The type of scorer that Jamal Murray is a type of scorer that really struggles against a defense like the Pelicans. The Pelicans are full of long physical defenders like Herb Jones and Brandon Ingram, and that's not the type of matchup that Jamal Murray has success against. And this makes sense when you dig into it. Over the past month, the Pelicans are giving up literally the fewest points per game to shooting guards in the NBA, which is technically what Jamal Murray plays. Even if you want to look at point guards, they give up not a lot of points to point guards as well. 6 of the last 8 shooting guards against the Pelicans have gone under their point total over under. And in general, Jamal Murray just hasn't been that great as a scorer on the year. Now, he's been somewhat better recently. He's gone over in 5 of 10 and in 3 of 5. But if you look at the entire year, he's only gone over in 6 of 25, which is really bad. And the games he went over were pretty juicy matchups where you'd want to target him. In some cases, I actually did. That's not the case today. This is not a juicy matchup. This is the opposite of that. This is a dry matchup. I'm not sure what the opposite of that is. But regardless, fading Murray is the way to go tonight. Hopefully going under and getting us to a cash in our 10th and final pick. And that's all we got. Let's hope that we can do better than most Fridays and do better than what we've done recently and have a very good day today. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already. And then all the things that I mentioned. You can check out the app, bettingpros.com/app, the Discord, bettingpros.com/chat. And if you want to be entered for a 1-year premium subscription giveaway, just subscribe and comment. Hope everybody stays warm this weekend. It's going to be very cold depending on where you are. Again, I appreciate you for tuning in and have a good one.